Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Welcome in to Pole Position Racing, round number 10 here at the iconic Silverstone Grand Prix. It's a sprint race weekend. It's a weekend where lots of things can kick off, lots of things can change, but one thing stays the same, and that is going to be great racing here. Of course, it is me, Bradley, here, joined by Mr. Ewan O'Leary, who you heard his sultry voice last week, bringing you round 9 at Imola. And now it's going to be round 10 going through, and we are going to see how the action can stack up. Mateusz at 124 points as it stands, with Zelazny at 120. So plenty of things kicking off here. Mateusz, as you can see, is currently sitting on pole. Baran's in third, Zelazny's in fourth, but the championship battle separated by 4 points, with John Meister just 15 back, Baran's 30 back, and Gragson, our defending champion, well, as we go into round 10 of 18 on this weekend, he is 45 points back from the championship. He's not completely out of the marks, but he is going to feel the pressure as this season goes. And I think that's enough of me talking here. Let's bring in Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary, good afternoon, evening to you, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, good evening. Good to be here once again, doing well, and looking forward to another round of this championship. We're very much in the European part of this season now, kicking off at Imola 1 week ago. We'll bookend it actually with Italian racetracks. Monza will end this sort of run of European circuits and actually be the final of the European circuits that we take on here this season before going elsewhere around the world for the finale. When you think about it, we're not actually that far away from the ends now. That last race did mark the halfway point of this championship here this season. Season 10 into its second half, very much so. And it's still very, very close between the top two. Still could go either way with regards to this championship.
Absolutely. And as we let drivers wind down their lap times here, we've got 10 minutes, 45 seconds left to go in qualifying, but plenty of storylines to go over. Some of the big ones for me is just Gragson, and it's looking at where Gragson is at on the season. I mean, he is... he's doing rough here. It's very, very rough to see Gragson down in 7th place. I'm not used to seeing Gragson struggle. I don't know if it has anything to do with the Mercedes move that he made in the offseason from Red Bull, but Gragson in 7th place is very, very unusual, I will say. And I'm curious to know, back half of the season, it's all tracks that Gragson's done well at and seems to like. Do you think Gragson could turn it around here?
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see over the course of the rest of this one now. But yeah, you'd expect maybe a little bit more. So we'll wait and see. Still early stages in this qualifying session in relative terms. Still in the first half or so. And Kushner hasn't even got a lap time in just for the moment. Here he is coming up towards the line. That will be the final driver to set a time. And now we have everybody on the board. Buchik, for whatever reason, not going to be setting a time here.
Yeah, Buchik not setting a time, which I'm a little surprised by. I'm wondering if he just had issues on his outlap or what it is, but Buchik will be relegated to 17th place here to start today. No qualifying bans, no penalties to really pick up on from last weekend. Of course, last weekend, coming out of Jeddah, there were lots of penalties going into Imola, quali bans, and some other things. But this weekend, everything was served pre-race. Worst offense was a time ban. Mateusz here is our point stander and is looking to, or our points leader, and is looking to stand up and keep that going. Only 4 points separate Mateusz and Zelazny, and that isn't a lot of points even halfway through the season. So the championship battle, very, very close still here.
It is, and it's worth remembering that Maciej Stawlicki hasn't actually won in nearly 2 months now. After taking 3 wins in 1 month at the start of this series, he's not won since the Dutch Grand Prix, which is now 6 rounds ago. That has sort of led to some of his decline in the championship. He wasn't at the Spanish Grand Prix, but neither was Zelazny after all. He didn't finish at Monaco after crashing out from the lead, if you remember back to the streets of Monaco all those weeks ago, about a month ago. Zelazny was able to get 2nd place and gain a lot of points. Another DNF at Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago, and a podium for Zelazny has really closed the gap. So it's been a bit of an inconsistent season for Stawlicki, really, and he'll be hoping for a little bit better over the course of the second half. Maybe a 2nd place at Monza is a good way to sort of start a better run of form off again.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see things get a little more consistent for him because it's gonna be one of those shoulda, coulda, woulda stories if we don't see Mateusz, continue to move things forward. Of course, Jalajne is a very fast, competitive driver. John Meister is a very fast and competitive driver, so anything is possible for those top three as they go through. I can't say for certain because we do still have 9 races left, and the championship can turn on its head with 9 races to go. But as we continue to watch drivers put in times and get things moving here, 7 minutes left to go, and it is a sprint weekend, so we got to explain a little bit how that works. So we'll have our 18-minute qualifying session, of which we're picking up with 7 minutes left to go, and then it is a 9-lap shootout. And then from there, we reset, and it is going to be our standard 50% race, 26 laps, and Baran out of the session on the backstretch. Let's see if we can pick up what happened there. If we can jump on board with anyone. You can see him actually there in the background, just off. That's an unusual place, actually, to see someone go off.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to think of yeah, but anyway, that just is true. So I can't really argue with that. Toflinski makes his way up towards the line now and does go quicker again. Another fastest lap. Not quite the qualifying lap record around here in this series, by the way. That was a 24.8 back in the day, back in season 1 actually. But Toflinski with a 24.9, which is going to be extremely difficult to beat, although Gavron gives it a go by going quicker himself there. He's only half a tenth away.
Yeah, Gavron bringing in time. We've got Jalajne, who is about to come across the line here, and we'll see where Jalajne can improve to. Of course, down the Hamilton straight, that start-finish line, very, very close. He brings it to a 1:25.293, so not a lot of improvement. John Meister's into the pits here, and Gragson, the man with the weight of the world on his shoulders here, as we see Gragson coming down through Maggots of Beckett's. This is a track that I think every one of these drivers need to be comfortable with. It's an iconic F1 track, and I think this is a track that really we should see some good competition on. It's not going to be, a very spread out field, and as I say that, Gragson busts track limits there through Maggots of Beckett's. So coming out of Chapel Curve, this is a track that all of these drivers should be very competitive on, and we can see lap times are not that far apart as it stands. It's 1.8 seconds between 1st and 15th, with Velix a little bit off the pace, but I don't think Velix got a very representative lap in here, so things are very, very competitive as it stands.
Yeah, they are, and I think you're right about Velix. Hasn't got a time in, I would suspect. 2.8 seconds off in a circuit like this one is a lot of time, so that is probably not representative of where he realistically is in terms of speed. We might be about to find out where he actually is, though, to be fair, because this is going to be another lap from him now, and it's making its way through the end of the second sector now. It'll be triggered just on the exit of Chapel here onto the hangar straight. See that more than half a second, or about half a second up his previous best there. That's halfway to getting towards Simon in 15th position at the back of the field, admittedly, but still a little bit better than where he is right now. A little bit wide into that final chicane, just misses that first apex, and it really throws you off for the rest of it too. Ruins your run a little bit onto the front straight. It is an improvement, but 2.4 seconds away. Maybe Velix is just struggling around here.
Yeah, he hasn't seemed comfortable this season, honestly, all things considered. Velix hasn't seemed super comfortable this season, so I'm curious to see where things land here. We've got yellow flags out in Sector 2, and it looks like that is a slow Ferrari of Debe, who is on a nice, comfortable little outlap here, trying to keep things going. And also, apologies for some of the frame rate issues. I'm currently trying to figure out exactly what's causing that. I don't have a good answer at the moment. But stick with us for a second, because we will figure it out. As things go here, Debe again on an outlap, and with 3.5 minutes to go left in qualifying.
Yeah, not very long to go at all now, and you can see that with the amount of drivers in pit lane. That's all going to change very quickly to a lot of people suddenly out on an outlap. Well, Debbie's just finished that. Make sure to get out ahead of those drivers who will be making their way out onto the circuit and clogging up the track in a few moments' time. So what he's done quite cleverly is a strategy that's fairly often used, is to get out there on your own and maybe go a lap earlier than the rest of the field, but it means you got a free lap. It means that you're not in the traffic of everybody else, whereas the other 15 or so drivers who will be heading out, or maybe 10 drivers who will be heading out, are going to have to fight between themselves for track space, which is going to be difficult.
Yeah, it'll be very, very difficult for them to fight that track space, but I do think it's doable for them. I think that they will have a simpler time with it than you would expect as things stand. We're going through here with just a couple minutes ago. You can see Debe well ahead of the curve here for running through, and he busts track. Oh! In the Ferrari. Debe trying to give it all and not having a great weekend there. DNFing out. As it stands, he'll sit P11. Thankfully, we're in the virtual world, so he won't have to give up his teammate's car and get in it as Williams did at the real-life Australian GP. But Debe always seems to be the unlucky one here in PPR.
Well, that was, I don't know whether you describe it as unlucky or just a bit ambitious in terms of the amount of grip that he was expecting from the Ferrari. You've got to push, and you might as well. It's the last lap anyway. Doesn't matter whether your car gets back in one piece or not. You haven't got to face a team who are forced with fixing that now. You can just get out there again in the sprint race without any problems. But still, it means he won't be improving in this session, and either way, it would have taken him quite an improvement to get into the top 10. He's currently still around 3.5 tenths away.
Yeah, he's not too far off from where he wants to be, and Debe is a driver that we know can convert in the race as long as luck stays on his side. We're still kind of waiting on drivers to get through. We do, of course, have the Haas of Myros going through. We've got Tazo, who is near the end of a lap here in the Haas with 53 seconds left to go on the timer. And Tazo comes across and is going to be locked in there at P10 as it sits. We're going to be looking for Myros to come through, but drivers starting their laps now. Jalajne is starting a lap, going down into Abbey, Farm Curve, Village, through the loop here. And then we'll be coming out onto the Wellington Straight. Of course, all of the famous and infamous corners that you can make a story on whichever one of these corners you want to pick. And as it goes down the Wellington Straight, it'll be run down towards Brooklands, down towards Luffield and Woodcote, continuing around Jalajne, trying to find time, trying to improve. Seems fairly comfortable and consistent as I can see. I didn't see what his Sector 1 time was, but he does seem like he is staying fairly consistent here through as he heads down towards Cops Corner. Of course, this corner, the infamous site of Hamilton versus Verstappen. And checkered flag has fallen, so drivers, this is their final attempt here. Maggots, Beckett's down into Chapel. Where does Jalajne come out as he comes through? You can see him using all the curb here. That is going to be a Haas staying well out of the way. And Jalajne, purple middle sector, he is improving here.
He is, and I think realistically he can hope to get to the inside of the second row by improving by a tenth of a second. He'll get ahead of John Meister and Barron, so that's going to be the real target here. But if Stelesny can get higher than that, maybe onto the front row, then that would be amazing. Out of the final corner now, and he does get close. He's a tenth away, but he's up to third.
His teammates invalidated the lap, so there is no improvement to come from there. Next car across the line is Mateusz, and he improves to a 1:24.906. What a time!
Wow, yeah, fantastic, and that is going to be the pole time, I would argue. John Meister, who's won this race on a couple of occasions, is going to try and beat that too, and maybe get on the second row also. Out of the final turn, and it is second place. Well, that was closer than I was expecting. Just 900ths away from taking pole.
I was not expecting that to be so close, but John Meister will start alongside this man, the points leader, Mateusz Teflinski, who is looking to try to run away in the back half of this season. Fairly close here, and now we just wait on the final checkered flag to fall and the session to time out. Deveron retires. Mateusz Teflinski P1, and John Meister will start second. Oh, this could be a good race.
Yeah. Well, it's only the sprint race, isn't it? So it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on. But yeah, Teflinski with pole. And in the end, it wasn't a very, it was a very close qualifying session. It was when we joined it, and throughout most of that, actually, there were two clear contenders, Teflinski and Gavron, but that's not the case at the end.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the fun with qualifying, is that all that counts is your last lap and your fastest lap. And if you do it right at the end, no big deal, no harm, no foul. John Meister will start P2. Jalajne will start in 4th place, though, and Jalajne is a driver that we know has pace. We know has a lot there. But Ron is in a good spot. Graxon, P7. And Graxon is a driver that we know will thrive in race pace. But this isn't the full race. This is just the sprint. This is for the fun and the marbles. This is going to be the case of how fast can these drivers move forward. And, what is your strategy if you're in a sprint race? Is it going to be, do you want to survive and move forward, or is it just push, push, push and see what you can do?
I think it's a bit of see what you can do, but for those championship contenders, 3 of which are on those first 2 rows, because there are 3 of them within 15 points, I think it's worth conserving and making sure that you don't lose out entirely and don't crash out of this race, even if there are only 8 points on the line for the win.
Yeah, and of course, remember it is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for our top 8 points finishers. So that will be how the points stand when it's through. And it is a cloudy little European day here in the UK of Silverstone. So it'll be the sprint race. We'll do a reset, and then it will be our 26 lap, 50% race for all of our drivers today. We'll see how the sprint race goes down here. Of course, this is going to be the final time drivers solidify their setups. They decide what they're doing. And I got to wonder, what is the tire strategy going to look like? We do have this formation lap here, but what will be the tire strategy? And surprisingly, most on softs.
Oh, yeah, well, is it a surprise? I mean, it's 9 laps. Depends really how you feel these tyres are going to wear. In the past, it used to be quite a high wear circuit, to be honest, but I think these new cars really just lower the amount of wear that they have somewhat. Yeah, I don't know. The fact that everyone's gone for the same notes suggests that softs, whether they're the right decision or not, doesn't really matter, because what we're going to see is them all suffering or them all not suffering. So there's no difference there. They're not in the top 6 anyway. Maybe if Grasant really starts rising through the order at the end, we could be in trouble, or the guys at the front could be in trouble, but I can't see that happening, to be honest, since they're all on the same tyre at the front. I think the soft tyres, they might as well have picked them, really. Might as well pick the fastest tyre.
Yeah, I think the interesting note to me is that it's Graxon, it's Debe, and it's Kushor, and it's Velix that are on the medium tires. Both Aston Martins, and then Debe in the Ferrari, who's going to be looking to do something different to try to move that Ferrari up. And then Graxon, who is, as we talked about, under some pretty good pressure to try to keep things moving here. And in the sprint race, it is going to be very interesting to me to see how these medium tire runners go. Obviously, they're going to be at a disadvantage up front, but when we go a little bit later into this sprint race, when we hit lap 7, lap 8, lap 9, how are those medium tires going to feel, and are they going to be able to do enough to push their way forward as we hit the last third of this sprint race, which should go fairly quickly here, of course, just 9 laps here around Silverstone. It won't take a lot of time.
Quarter of an hour at most, I think, for this race. It's going to be a real sprint race, really, by the word. But yeah, I think the problem for Grasant is going to be, first of all, the traffic. He's already got 6 cars in front of him. He'll probably have more by the time those mediums really come into their own. And the other problem is, how far away are those soft tyre runners going to be when those mediums start coming into their own? Because it's all well and good things levelling out at the end and maybe even getting better for the mediums at the end. But if the guys ahead have got a big enough head start, then they'll beat him anyway.
Yeah, and you can see everybody forming up here on the grid. 17 cars will be participating, and here is your race strategies powered by AWS, and they say softer mediums. It doesn't make a difference. Debe missing his pit box there. You see the disqualified pop up, but that does not mean he actually won't race. It just means he misses his pit box and his own custom little setup, and it snaps him back. But we're in the way. 5 red lights, and we are going to be underway here for the sprint race in Silverstone here in PPR Season 10, Round 10. And as we get going here, it is Mateusz on the outside, John Meister on the inside, and John Meister trying to bring the fight forward. As we go around and look at him there, he is trying to have a dive through. He's not able to make anything happen. In the background is Jalajne under a lot of pressure here from Kashti, though. And as we get through and we head down the straights, it is going to be Kashti ahead of Jalajne here. Baran in 6th, Graxant holding his own in 7th right behind his teammate. But up front, it was Mateusz and John Meister 1 and 2, stay 1 and 2.
Yeah, not a good start for the second place in the championship man, Zelezny, by the way, who's side by side again with Baron now on the way out of Luffield. The Mercedes now to the outside in towards Kopf. Where have we seen this before? He's going to tuck in instead. Zelezny will get through then on that occasion. And there's the problem for Grasant already. Tazo going through, the first of them, and a very big moment in the background. Maros seems to have been off maybe. Nobody's in the wall at Kopf's corner, but there were a few running wide.
Yeah, it looks like it was Maros. It was Kushor that went off there. You can see the Haas and the Aston Martins absolutely dogging it out here. 3 wide through. Kushor's there. Velix is there. Myros is there. Frantic wants to have a mix in the battle as well. This is the battle back for P15. This isn't for the points, but they're going to take it 3 wide here. And as they go through down out of the hangar straight, and it is going to be still side by side for these two. AWS really wants you to know the pit strategy, ladies and gentlemen. But if you didn't know it, now you do know it. And watch this up front. It's Baron putting pressure on Zelezny. Zelezny not seeming to get a good run here at the beginning. Of course, it is much cloudier than it was in qualifying, and maybe that's a... Oh! And that was a big error.
Yeah, that was Baron down the inside, and, well, it was quite a long way alongside, and then actually he's ghosting inside a Butchik at the moment, who slowed down and let the Williams through. Yeah, that was a move down the inside that he slightly got chopped out of there by the McLaren, and it's the car behind that often comes out second best in those situations. Unfortunately, he's now outside the top 10.
Yeah, unfortunate moment there for Baron, and it was, I mean, it was a brave move. He had to try it, but man, it did not work out for him. Up ahead in the front, look at this John Meister going through Maggots Beckett's here. 1/10 of a second back from Mateusz. He's trying his run as best as he can through here. And you can see overtake on. He is trying to run. Of course, this is F123, so unlike real life F1, it is no DRS for the first 2 laps after a race start or a safety car. So no DRS here on this occasion. But once they cross the start-finish straight, they will have DRS down the Wellington straight.
Yep, and so, and indeed the hangar straight too. So, very important to stay within that second. And now finally they will get that benefit. It will be the Wellington straight first time round, then the hangar straight on this opening lap. But as we know, 7 laps remaining, even though we've only just got the DRS enabled, as we've got stuff going on in the background. Grasant there has been side by side with, I think, Zelezny, and he's at some point come unstuck because he's gotten such a severe time penalty for corner cutting, which may be written off at the end of the race, to be honest, because I don't think he drove there on his own. I think, in fact, he was pushed onto the inside of a corner that's given him a very big penalty.
Yeah, Grasant with a big loss there, and an even bigger loss now as he's now out of this race, going off back in the background. There that's Luffield that he's went off. What has happened to him? Because that is... Oh, Grasant, on a weekend he needed success. He's going to find heartbreak because that will relegate Grasant to start 17th place in the main event. He will have a true last to first challenge. Look at this, though. Mateusz Teflinski, the driver trying to run away with the Drivers' Championship. One of the drivers who could challenge him, John Meister, gets past him there down the hangar straight with the help of DRS and is now up into the lead here. Mateusz under some pressure early. Kashki seems to be very comfortable in.
Right, that was very close. Oh, Kashti losing it on the exit as well. So not only was it close between himself and Gavron on the way in, but he was close to losing it on the way out as well. That will allow Zelezny to catch up a bit as well. So the top 5 all within DRS range of one another. Now, how much of that pass from John Meister was down to the DRS, or how much is he quicker? I get the feeling that Toflinski rather let John Meister have that position, to be honest, on that particular occasion.
Yeah, I think he did, because I think Teflinski's going to sit and relax and let John Meister kind of run his tires out a little bit and go towards the end and try to have a run. That is what I'm expecting. We've got battling back in the background here. Baron and Buchik there going down the straight, and it is going to be Baron who comes out in P9. Of course, points only awarded for the top 8, and what do we see in P8? A medium tire runner of Debe in the Ferrari. That number 98 Ferrari, very comfortable, it looks, on those medium tires, staying right within striking distance of Tazo and Maddie, not too far off. Of course, Maddie's dropped 3.3 seconds on the lead 5, but this battle right here seems very close. The medium tires here on lap 4 of 9 maybe coping a little bit better.
Yeah, they're doing okay. We haven't really got the best gauge of this anymore, I don't think, because Gragson is nowhere to be seen. But nevertheless, it's been okay for Debbie so far. Now he's up the inside of Tazo into the final chicane. It'll be round the outside. Oh dear! And Debbie's just gone around. Well, not the whole way round, but most of the way, and so drops back again. I think his ceiling in this race, though, is probably 6th place anyway.
Yeah, with the way the gaps are setting up, really anything above P6 has to mean something catastrophic for the front 5. As you can see, the gap opening up quite a bit here for Maddie. Maddie 4.2 seconds back at one point there on the top 5, or on Jalajne and that top 5 pack. As we continue through, you can see it's a straightaways distance of difference, and Mateusz Taflinski currently trying to hold back John Meister, Gavron, Kashi, and Jalajne here. As we hit lap 5 of 9, we're over halfway distance here in the sprint race. And so far, it's been pretty competitive. Drivers are really, really trying to hold their own as best as they can.
Yeah, they are going for it. 4 laps to go at the end of this one. And you just wonder what they're willing to risk in the final moments of this race. Many of them outside of the top 8, of course, and won't be scoring points, so it doesn't really matter that much at all. But for these front 5 especially, it'd be very interesting to see how they play this. John Meister recently been overtaken after leading for a little while, has not decided to overtake Toflinski on this occasion, and I think it was a decision on his part, to be honest with you. He seemingly could have got through there, but didn't, as Debe now gets down the outside and more comfortably through into 7th place this time.
Yeah, Debe into 7th here. We'll see if he can pull a bit of a gap. The gap, 1.5 seconds now between Debe and Maddie, so he's now out of DRS range, so nothing he can do there. And it looks like Frantic back out of... Where's he at on the track? I can't really see him there, but looks like Frantic having an off potentially, but he's back going. No harm, no foul there. As it stands, the only person who's pit has been Myros, and I would imagine that's a front wing change for him. Still, things hold steady where they're at. 2/3 race distance at the moment here in this sprint race. 3 laps to go, and it is the question between John Meister and Taflinski. Which one of the two come out ahead when this race is said and done here?
Oh yeah, that is the question. I don't think anyone can really answer it for the moment. And who's to say that one of the 3 further behind can't win this at this stage either? It's very close between them all. It's about staying close through Maggots and Beckett's as well. It's such a fast section of corners these days. The final part of it, the tightest part of it, taken in 5th and 6th gear now in the race even. I know we're lighter on fuel here in this sprint race for about the 1/3 of the laps, but even so, it's a very fast section of corners. Now Gavron gets close to John Meister as well, but he won't be able to overtake, and now there's 3 laps to go as they go over the line. Is John Meister just protecting this 2nd place because he believes that's the prime position, or is he struggling to overtake? I'm unsure at this moment, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very, very possible that is what's going on. It's hard to tell as we sit, and it looks like some position changes happening back a little further back in the mix. Let's see if we can find who that is. So some position changes happening a little bit further back here, lap 7 of 9. And why has my iRacing livery popped up? My iRacing overlay has popped up, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 2 seconds here. That would be a case of Bradley forgetting how to do multiple broadcasts. Here we go. Back on with F1 technical difficulties. If it's not PPR with a little bit of a technical problem, then it's not a PPR race after all. But as we sit, it's Baron in 8th here trying to chase down Tazo. Buchik's in 9th. Debe's back into 10th again. So medium tires were working. Now they're not. And as we get near the end, what can he do on the mediums?
Well, I'm not sure it's totally down to those mediums, to be honest. I don't think you lose 3 places seemingly seamlessly without any sort of problem. I think there must have been some sort of altercation there as Zelezny gets the 3-second time penalty. That's not going to do much other than route him to 5th position and basically make him a spectator to what's about to unfold in front of him. The battle for 7th place hasn't died down either, despite Debbie's absence now, although he is closing in all over again. Tazo was under attack from Baron there into the Vale chicane, going on to the penultimate lap now.
Yeah, Tazo's under pressure, Buchik's under pressure, Debe's under pressure, Baron's under pressure. It's all pressure for different reasons here on this mid-pack with 2 laps to go here in this race. But it still sits up front, a half-second gap between Mateusz and Jon Meister. The gap closes down to 0.3 as we hit lap 8 of 9. So there's still a little bit of space there to find. They're fairly close, but again, what can they do further back in the back? It is going to be Simon getting past Maverick here for P12. But I'm still watching this front battle. Jalajne picking up that penalty, which is very unfortunate for him. What is Jon Meister waiting for? Is he waiting for lap 9 to get the pass?
I reckon so. Because there's no ability for Maciej Toflinski to respond in that sense. It is a risk. You need to get that last lap absolutely correct, of course. And you're making a big gamble that Toflinski won't have the ability to defend either. You're also making one that Gavron won't attack before then. Well, so far that part has rung true. But the final overtake, getting that final pass over the line, may be a difficult one, because surely Toflinski is going to drain his battery for the lap, knowing that there isn't another one after that.
Yeah, you would think it. Meanwhile, we watch this, and still Baron, Tazo, and Buchik battling it out for those last of the points-paying places here in the sprint race. Lap 9 has officially began, and we will see how things land here as Baron comes out half a second back on Buchik. So it is truly going to be pressure for Baron here as he holds the key to last place. And look at this, Tazo and Debe right neck and neck. Caution sector 3, that is again going to be the AlphaTauri Frantic, but no harm, no foul there as we will continue to go here. Lap 9 is underway, and all eyes sit on the battle for first and the battle for 8th, the top of the points, the bottom of the points. And as we come around here, going through out of Copse Corner, or into Copse Corner, forgive me, as I am American commentating Silverstone. Please do not throw rocks at me. And there we go. The gap is 2.5 tenths as we head into Maggots and Beckett's. What can Jon Meister do down the final straight? He's got one more chance.
Yeah, this is the chance. He has to get it right out of Chapel. And Toflinski has absolutely maximised that. But Jon Meister wasn't so bad through there either. Now he's on the overtake. Look to the outside. This is for the win.
And there it is. There's a little bit of contact between the two. Oh, no!
Oh!
They both run off, and Gavron is going to be right there and take advantage of it. And Gavron is going to bring it around onto the Hamilton straight and will take the win from Jon Meister and Mateusz. Mateusz will be reserved down into 3rd. Jon Meister into 2nd. Jalajne will be 4th on track, but Kashi will be 5th. And what happens with Buchik and Baron and Tazo? Well, in the end, it is Buchik ahead of Tazo with Baron in 7th place. So Buchik will gain that one last point. What a finish!
Yeah, great finish. It seemed that there was contact between Jon Meister and Toflinski. That much is obvious. I think Jon Meister was trying to squeeze Toflinski as much as possible to the inside to try and keep him on as tight of a line as possible, but the Red Bull wasn't able to hold it just as long as was needed. And so as he began to slide, he got into the Alpha alongside. They both got connected and got off the road. And since they were both unable to do anything about it, Gavron just stepped into that void and took the win in the end. So sprint race victory to him. Toflinski now 6 points ahead of Zalesny in the championship, but 14, which is one less, ahead of Jon Meister, who actually beat him to the line.
Wow. That is huge. And now we sit, and Gavron will take the lead for the Grand Prix for 26 laps here at Silverstone. Jon Meister P2, Mateusz Toflinski P3, and then from there it's Kashti Jalajne. Debe ends up in 14th when it's all said and done. And of course, Gragson finishing in last place, relegated down to the bottom after an early incident. And he will have to fight for a last to first finish. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. We are going to take a quick break, get things set up here for 26 laps here of the British Grand Prix here in Pole Position Racing, round 10 of season 10. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here as we get ready for what is going to be 26 laps of action here at Silverstone. The drivers are getting in their cars, they're getting their setups loaded, they're getting ready to go. And Mr. O'Leary, let me tell you, that was a fun sprint race in my opinion. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, it was a good opening race of the evening. I enjoyed it. The finish was very interesting indeed, but I think it says a lot about this circuit really and how tactical you have to be in terms of when you're making your overtakes. It's not difficult to make passes around here, but you need to think about when you're going to do it. That's the real key. So, very excited to see what's going to happen now over an extended distance, about 3 times as long, of course, this second race of the evening, and it will be at the full 26 lap Grand Prix. Now, with largely the same compounds of tyres, you'd imagine, than what we've just seen. Not expecting to see too much hard tyre action today, but I could be proved wrong, and it looks like I am being, because about half the field are on hard tyres.
Yeah, lots of drivers on the hard tires early on. Of course, I don't have a weather report, so I'm not sure if we're expecting rain or anything, but some of the notable ones, Gaviron on the hards, John Meister on the softs. And what do you know? Back in P17, Mr. Graxon finds himself on the soft compounds after a painful sprint race for him. And you can see he is very much set back. Debe's already out of the session. Don't know what happened to Debe to put Debe out of the formation lap, but we will see him through migrating host actually, so possibly a internet issue for Debe. Let's see what is going on here. Let's double check because I see many drivers hitting and retiring.
Yeah, maybe someone's not in the right order or something. Don't know, to be honest, but it looks like we might have to restart here. We'll wait and have a look. Yeah, Tazo has just said in the chat that there'll be a lobby restart.
All right. Well, everybody stick with us for a moment, and we are going to go get this lobby restart going, and we will be right back with you. All right, and after Jalajne deciding he wanted to be a Tifosi fan and not a McLaren driver, we are back and we are running. Drivers are in the proper cars, proper teams now, and we are back set again. Drivers will get a moment to start setting up their cars again, make sure they've got everything dialed in, which is lucky for them because that means that if they loaded a wrong setup or anything was set up bad, they can have a second chance to fix it. It's not every day you get a double chance at setting up your car before a race. But Ewan, let's talk for a second. We were going to talk about it right before we went into that lobby reset. There's a lot of hard tires that we saw on the grid before.
Yeah, and I wonder, now having seen what everyone wanted to do, whether anyone's going to change their mind now, because what that has effectively done, given everyone a bit of a preview as to what their rivals are actually going to do here. Does that mean that they change their mind? Do they double bluff maybe? Don't change their mind in the hope that the others do. There's all sorts of games that get introduced with this one. We were joking beforehand as well about whether it was just going to pour with rain now for the entirety of the race, since we got insight and intel that previous lobby didn't have any rain scheduled for its race, but maybe this one will. Well, not at the start, clearly. It actually seems brighter than it was in that first lobby.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like many people changed their tire selection that I can see. I still see a good variety of hard, softs, mediums. Again, Gavaron on the hards, John Meister on the softs, Mateusz opting to start on the hards, Kashti's on mediums, and again, the man in P17, Mr. Graxon, will find himself starting on soft tires in last place, doing a classic last to first challenge. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen Graxon do a last to first challenge, but it's gonna be a tall ask here at Silverstone. Is it possible?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I think it is possible, but it probably need a safety car in this race, to be honest. The problem that he's going to have is that no matter how quickly he works his way through the order, the gaps are always going to appear in front of him. I mean, the gap from 5th to 6th place, even in that sprint race, was way over 5 seconds. So how's he going to cross that on his own? It's going to be very difficult too, and he's probably going to need a safety car at the right point. But of course, he has so many wins in this series that the most all time, so he knows how to get it done around any circuit, and so you wouldn't bet against him. But as I say, probably needs a safety car, which is not the most unlikely thing considering where we are. Not quite a street circuit per se, but it wouldn't be a shock to see a safety car or two today.
Yeah, knowing the league, knowing how things go, and just seeing how that sprint race went, I would not be surprised to see at least one safety car come out. I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen in Cop's Corner, going through Maggots and Beckett's. It's not unheard of, and it's definitely not... You could easily make money if you were to just predict safety cars for this race. I would say that is a good bet, a good thing to hang your hat on. Gavaron's coming across through the final corner here and is going to take things together. And give me a prediction. Who's going to win? How is this race going to start off?
Well, I think John Meister is going to be leading after not so very long, because he's the first driver in that front six on the soft compound tyres, the only driver in the top six on those softs. So I think he's going to lead early on, and yeah, I'll go for him as a prediction for the win today.
Bold prediction, and of course, Debe once again missing his grid box. Graxon will be our last driver to slot in on the grid here and get things ready to go. And as Graxon slots in, it is going to be 17 drivers on the grid, 5 red lights, and we will be underway for Round 10, Season 10 here. The British GP is officially underway. It's not the sprint, it's the real thing. And Gavaron gets away and is trying to fight off John Meister. John Meister on the inside with the soft tires. And will they make contact? They keep a little bit of room there, and it is going to be John Meister who gets out ahead of Gavaron. And there we go. Kashti Jalajne through, and that is Mateusz trying to defend against Kashti as much as he can. Medium tires. Big snap there from Baron, who's got a lot of company with Jalajne, with Maddie, with Tazo. And again, Mateusz trying to get the pass done here, and on the hard tires is trying to defend, trying to pass, trying to do something there with the hard tires. But you can see Kashti there on the inside on the mediums, not making it easy for him. And as we head up towards Cop's Corner for the first time, it is, as you predicted, John Meister with Gavaron in P2.
Yeah, it's a good start for John Meister, and he was able to get in front even on the way down towards turn number 1. That's how good those soft tyres are, even off the start. The traction, fantastic, and it's gained in places. It's also gained Barron some places too. Tazo is up to 8th place on those softs, and there's a couple of hot tyre runners right in front of him now that he can maybe take advantage of. He'll get to the inside of Matty and he'll get to 7th place. For whatever reason, Zalesny is doing a good job behind Barron and was looking for a way through into 5th place. That's not going to last very long if it does happen at all here, because this is the battle for 5th position. Barron is on the soft compound tyres. Cassidy was looking racy there earlier, really needed to get past Toflinski, to be honest, to make use of those medium tyres. He's instead stuck behind 2 hard tyre runners.
Again, as it sits here, Baran trying to find a look here around Kashti and go through, and there it is. Baran's going to look up the inside here if we can get a better camera angle than what the game's trying to provide. And there we go, side by side as they go. We come around and Kashti chops off the nose of Zalesny, and Zalesny will relegate back to 7th place there. Kashti's still holding on to P5, and it doesn't look to me that Zalesny picked up front wing damage, so very, very lucky there, but there was an incident, and I do see that Graxent has dropped back into 16th place here, so it looks like maybe a moment there for Graxent. He's still got his front wing, though. Debe up into 12th place from starting P14, but your top 3. John Meister in the lead on softs, Gavron on the hards, and Mateusz Toflinski a 10th of a second back on the hards, and they are trying to run away.
Yeah, it's the top 3 from the sprint race. Top 3 once again here early on in the main race. 50% of course, but it won't be a very long one. This is a fast racetrack, and so the 150 kilometres are going to be ticked off very, very quickly indeed. You'd imagine these two are going to work together for a little while. Stay away from Barron as long as they can, and Kashti and Tazo as well, of course, all of whom are on softer compound tyres than they are. If they can sustain that for the opening 8 to 10 laps of this race and they can stay ahead, then they won't have to make up positions in traffic once their tyres start to come into their own, once we start to reach that 10 lap mark. But the reason I'm so surprised so many hard tyres are being used right now is because if the softs can go 9 laps as they did in that sprint race, and they did fairly comfortably, why on earth are they needing to use the hard tyres in the main race? Even doing 9 laps surely puts 17 on the mediums, which I would have thought is doable.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is that they want to try to run long on the hards. Either that or there's rain predicted late in the race that I don't have access to see. So if there's any drivers that can tell me if there's rain predicted, please feel free to let me know in Twitch chat here. And of course, if you are new, this is your first race here in Pole Position Racing, be sure to give us a follow here on Twitch. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel and support the league in all the ways that you can. Tazo here in P6, continuing to try to chase down Kashti in 5th place on the mediums. DRS was enabled the last time they crossed the start-finish straight, but it hasn't seemed to have made much of a difference. I don't see any big passes. I don't see anything crazy going on through Maggots and Beckett's here. Mateusz Toflinski trying to chase down Gavron, and it's hard tires on hard tires. Not a lot happening with Baran on the softs, starting to make the run through. Mateusz now going around with the help of DRS. Gets past Gavron, and Baran is continuing to try to close gaps here. And same thing in the background as we have Maverick and Simon here going through. So really it is DRS helping these drivers get past. I don't see anything too crazy happening otherwise. And as soon as I say that, it's side-by-side battling there for P5.
It is, and it's a yellow flag, unfortunately, as Barron has gone off. Well, he was running in 4th place, but Barron has gone off somewhere, and where on earth is he? He's managed to find himself to the inside at Club there, the final corner. Overtaken now by his teammate. He'll rip round the outside of Velix again to get straight back into 15th all over again, but he was closing on the top 2. I wonder whether he went for an overtake on Gavron, who just lost 2nd place. Owen was right there as well, and I think that was the reason that motivated Toflinski to make that pass and go into 2nd position, but it doesn't matter now because Barron is a long way back.
Yeah, it is a painful day to be a Mercedes fan here at Silverstone. And it is a painful, painful day indeed to be a Graxent or a Baran fan individually. So if you are a Mercedes fan, I apologize. Please avert your eyes. But hey, there's a McLaren in P3 and the other McLaren's in P6. So if you need a second team to root for, they are an option as well. Of course, John Meister up in P1 with the gap now only half a second. So soft tires not seeming to give John Meister as much of a run as he would have wanted. He was over a second off at one point, and now the gap is 0.4 of a second. Mateusz Toflinski there on the hard tires, getting a very big run. Tazo and Kashti battling it out. Debe's now dropped back. Graxen's up into P11. It is all popping off here on lap 4 of 26 of this British Grand Prix.
It was out of Chapel that Debe went off, and no damage done, I don't think physically, but certainly in terms of time loss, there was a lot done there. As we've got a battle for the lead now. John Meister already getting reeled in on those soft compound tyres. I'm not sure whether these tyres are behaving differently from the sprint race compared to this one. But the hard tyres are suddenly performing a lot better, even inside those first 9 laps, which the soft tyres made it through comfortably in that first race of the evening a few moments ago. Now Tofulinski is already challenging. He's in fact having to back off on the way in towards Brooklands to try not to overtake John Meister. And it's worked. He will wait for later on in the lap.
Yeah, it was interesting to me to see him back off like that, because he could have had a run going into Brooklands, but he opted not to. He decided to back out a little bit. And here we go as we head into Maggots of Beckett's. You can see that things going through, and Mateusz with a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Those hard tires
already?
Not. Yeah,
It's early.
We're lap 5 of 26, and he's already picked up his first penalty for corner cutting. So you got to wonder how many more are coming. As with DRS, he goes up the inside here on John Meister. John Meister on the soft tires lets him go, and Mateusz now up in the lead, but 3 seconds added to his pit stop.
Yeah, and does it get added to your pit stop these days, or does it not get added at the end of the race? Because corner cutting penalties used to get added at the end of the race, almost no matter what happened there, and it did happen there to Zalesny in the last race, but there wasn't any pit stops to add it on to. So I guess so. In terms of how many penalties that he could pick up, well, if he continues at that rate, he'll have 15 seconds worth by the end.
That is painful. That is very, very not good for him, Mateusz. You need to reel it in a little bit. But that goes to show just how hard Mateusz is pushing those hard tires to move his way forward here. As Gavron in 3rd place with the DRS Open, John Meister in 2nd with DRS Open. And there is the other McLaren of Jalajne moving up there on Kashti, up into 4th place, continuing to push and keep things moving. Maddie trying to have a look here around Tazo, not able to make the pass happen. Further back, Kushor gets around Frantic, and that is the pass for P12. Graxen's now into the top 10, and Graxen is not far off P9 actually here, as we ride on board with him and check out what he is thinking about doing through Cops Corner. He's looking the outside of Cops Corner. The Alpine of Maverick blocks it off, and there we go. He settles it in.
Yeah, it's getting close. There's a little bit of sort of hovering there, and as the car in front drops backwards and forwards again, Maverick stays ahead going through Magnus and Beckett's, and now you imagine Graxen will try and punish on the way down towards Stowe corner, and will do. So that will be an easy move in the end. Really, his soft tyres not doing so badly, because his soft tyres are better than Maverick's mediums, but John Meister's softs are not better than Tofulinski's hards. This is not really adding up at the moment.
Yeah, none of this is making sense to me, and and Tazo's not doing bad on the soft tire either, but Kashti on the mediums is pretty well stuck in place. The hard tire runners seem to be doing really well. Do I not understand tire compounds, or is there something very weird going on right now? It feels like it's the latter, but feel free to tell me if it's the former.
Well, I can't work out what's going on. It's weird to me. I mean, to be honest, even Tazo's position in the group is really confusing. I mean, maybe now it should be levelling off a bit. We're nearly 7 laps into this race now, but even so, it's not exactly like he was ripping through the field early on. You like you'd expect from soft tyre runner. Deve's got his first time penalty of the day as well. I think that must have been through Aintree. He got that one, and so that's even more 16th place for him, I'm afraid, with that penalty. And there are the movers. You can see a lot of them down towards the back. I suppose we've had incidents so far today, and that's why 6 of the bottom 7 have dropped positions so far.
Yeah, a lot of drivers having an up or down weekend and not both. Gavron down 2 places there with John Meister and Mateusz making their way through. Tazo up 2 places, but Maddie and Buchik right where they started. Jalajne and Kashni swapping places. And then Graxen up 8. Graxen having a very good run. Tazo barely saving that car going onto the Hamilton straight, as it was not wanting to comply with what he was asking him to do. Soft tires might be getting to the end of their life here. And once again, it's John Meister ahead of Mateusz, and this is just going to continue to go back and forth a little bit, I think. I don't understand. It was like 1 second the soft tires were nowhere, and now it's like they've gotten a second life, but now the DRS is open, and Mateusz is thinking about a look here on John Meister because Gavron is now right in the mix. These drivers are not making this easy.
No, and it's been an interesting race, a puzzling race so far, I think it's fair to say. Nearly a third of the way through this main race, and so we're nearly at the distance now that we covered during the sprint race. The soft tyres had no problem getting through to there, and John Meister seemingly was having problems after 5 laps, but now he's back ahead again, and yeah, it's still very confusing as to what's actually going on in this race completely now. Toplinsky in second position again. Can he work his way through? Does he want to work his way through? Well, yes, and so he will lead again, although John Meister's still not struggling really.
Yeah, John Meister not having a bad time on the softs, which, again, as we said, they lasted 9 laps in the sprint, so it wasn't too bad for them at all. Man, I don't know how to feel right now because the softs are on lap 8. They seem to be doing okay, but at the same time, the hard tires don't seem to be coming on their own at all. I don't see anything with those hard tires keeping things going. Kashti on the mediums is also... This is a very neutral race right now. I'm curious to see when we start seeing pit stops, who opts for what strategy, who goes where, and it's going to mix things up. Right now, the field is battling, but it's stagnant. This has turned into very much a follow-the-leader F1 race, as we're lap 9 of 26.
Yeah, it's almost like everybody's on the same compounded tyres and nothing's changing here, because the pace, even between soft and hard compound tyres, seem to be very similar indeed. Next thing we know, they're going to be pitting on the same lap too. It's not going to make any sense at all, but we'll wait and see on that front when we get to it, because we are a third of the way through now. And already, to be honest, it's been a very quick opening to this race, of course, but a very quick circuit these days. The Silverstone track, just under 1:30 round here. John Meister gets close on the way in towards Stowe again. Mateusz Toplinsky having to somewhat defend, but not really. And John Meister stays out again, so clearly 9 laps wasn't even the limit for that, only the sprint race, but for these soft tyres, they can go at least 10, it seems.
Yeah, soft tires should keep things going here. We're watching hard on mediums with Kushor and Simon battling. This is your battle for P12 as Kushor stays ahead there just a little bit there. Oh, Simon with a big snap, and Simon is going to be out. Simon is out of the session. That is a safety car deployed, and that turns this race on its head because our race leaders, everybody was around except for Myros to take advantage of that safety car. Safety car deployed, Simon with a big snap onto the Hamilton straight.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd be in for, if you're on the any other tyre than the hards at the moment, you might put hards on. If you are on the hard tyres like Toplinsky, you'd be tempted to put the mediums on at this stage and try and stretch them all the way, because I think by the time we go racing again, there'll only be 14 laps to go, which I think is doable on a set of medium tyres, especially when John Meister has taken these soft tyres comfortably 10 laps in this race. But maybe there's a reason not many of the field have gone on to medium tyres. They seem neither here nor there. Kashti wasn't going backwards but couldn't go forwards either, so not really sure what to make of the tyres at this stage, because I said earlier on, they all seem to be behaving very similarly.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel, and again, we have to wait, another few corners just to see who opts to pit, but I would imagine everyone pits at this point, because if these tires are wearing this slow, there's no reason to not pit here as we go. And yeah, Mateusz is in, John Meister is in, Gavron's in, Jalajne is in, Kashti is in. Kashti locking up the brakes there to get down to speed. Tazo's in, Buchik is in, so double stack at Williams, double stack at McLaren.
Mercedes will double stack here too. Aaron is going to come in, and Aston Martin as well. Here we go. what tyres are they going to put on? Gavron goes for medium tyres. Everyone's going for mediums here. If you can get them on, then do. Casti is going to have to put, what, softs on maybe? I don't know. No, he's going to be hards. I would have put softs on and gambled on another safety car, but that was a big gamble. He gets out just ahead of Zelazny, who maybe lost a place there, but mediums are the order of the day.
Yeah, Zelazny did lose a place there, having to double stack with Gavron, and Buchek losing out big time, having to double stack with Kashti. Baron losing a place there, having to double stack with Graxent. Graxent finding his way up into P8 though, so did he really lose a place? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Chick did, I think. Maybe not actually. Maybe Baron didn't either. But they were two of those teams that had to double stack. Seems that the teams are a bit better at double stacking these days than they used to be on the F1 games. It used to take them an absolute age to service two cars.
Yeah, relatively it doesn't take them that long, but I don't know. I don't have a good answer, but the race is going to be very neutral to the end here. Really, it's going to be just DRS, it's going to be battery usage, and it's going to be just up to the driver to get a pass done. It seems like tire wear is just non-existent.
Yeah. It's so puzzling. I can't work out what the hell is up with these tyres. But now everyone's on mediums and everyone's suspecting to go to the end. I mean, it's probably part of the strategy, to be honest. A safety car, you probably start the day thinking, well, there is going to be one, so what's the best idea? And I think the likes of Tofolinski and Gavron thought, if I put hard tyres on, there's no way that there can be a safety car immediately after I've stopped, because in theory the hard tyres could go 18 laps maybe, and then put the softs on towards the end if there's no safety car, or if there's a safety car in the first 18 laps, then you can go and put mediums on. The danger, of course, being that you lose a lot of track position. Well, Tofolinski didn't have to suffer that because the hard tyres are a very good race tyre, and they were about as quick as the softs over a stint.
Yeah, it's very... Oh, it's very, very interesting. It's very... man.
Weird, to be honest.
Thank you. Yes. I don't know how to feel about this. We should have at least one more lap under safety car here, which is about a 3-minute lap. So while that's going, I have to ask, what are we thinking is going to be the move here for tire strategy, race strategy? At this point, if there's another safety car, I would imagine everyone goes to softs to the end, as you alluded to earlier. I mean, if you're John Meister, what can you do to get past Mateusz at this point, other than just try to send it?
Well, I think he's not going to have to think too much about that, because let's not forget about the sprint race. He was able to stay with Tofolinski fairly easily. They were both on soft tyres on that occasion. I don't say all things are equal, but most things were equal at the time. And all he realistically has to do as well is stay within 3 seconds of him. He's already got that corner cutting penalty as the championship leader, and so even just staying in the DRS is enough.
Yeah, he's not in a horrible position, honestly. You can see Gavron there is even under safety cars, kind of making sure John Meister knows he's there. It's going to be a very, very competitive race to the end. All these guys are fairly matched on pace. They're fairly matched on skill level. It's going to be exciting here, because I think they should call safety car in once we start going down the hangar straight here.
Yep. As they exit Chapel, they should bring the safety car in. The field has been able to catch up actually pretty quickly now, the 16 remaining drivers in the race, but who's to say that this will be the last safety car of the day? I don't suspect that it will be, but see what racing we get on this restart and how close things are going to stay.
Yeah, race control does officially call in the safety car. Now we are going to get going lap 12 of 26, and we will see how things go. Mateusz Tofolinski takes control of the field and will be the one to set the pace here. John Meister and Gavron and Kashti all want to stay very close. Kashti is going to struggle early on those hard tires, though, I worry.
Yes, I think he is. And I don't think there's going to be a benefit towards the end either, because the mediums are going to last quite well. They're going to be quite quick throughout the rest of the race as well. And so Kashti is going to fall back and not really recover those positions very much, I would imagine.
Mateusz already going before the chicane, which is not what I was expecting to see. And now we are back underway. We're back green flag running here. Lap 13 of 26. We are officially the halfway point of this race, and it is Mateusz who has already got over a second lead here on John Meister, and Gavron in third, Kashti in fourth, Zalazny in fifth, Maddie in sixth, Tazo seventh, Graxon eighth. Graxon continuing to run right on the back of Tazo there, trying to find a pass, trying to find a move, trying to do anything in his power to get a pass done here as we head down the Wellington Straight. And he is looking for something. Of course, no DRS for 2 laps after safety car. So it is all just a matter of slipstream, pace, and driver's skill, of which we can all argue that Graxon has plenty, but also Tazo does. So they will keep that going. Debe getting a pass done here in the background into 14th place. And we'll try to move up. Velix and Myros side by side. There,
oh dear, oh dear.
Between Velix and Myros.
Yeah, Myros was trying to get down the inside there through Luffield. Velix wasn't having any of it. There was a very small gap there. And that one's going to be argued about between the two of them. But Velix is the one who goes around and is all of a sudden off the back of the field. Very demoralisingly as well. Somewhat for Maros too, because he was kind of waiting for that safety car for the entirety of the race. He had that incident earlier on. Has been driving on his own ever since.
Yeah, it's going to be... It's going to be an interesting conversation in the steward's room to see what comes out of that one, what the conversation is, and how they determine that. Because the argument will become, well, was there room on the inside? Should he have left space on the inside? And depending on who you are, will depend on who you place fault on. That's one of those that you pull out Mr. James Parfit from JP Broadcasting, one of our partners here with the channel. You and me both know he would have a strong opinion about that one.
Well, that's more of a strong opinion about lap traffic, to be honest. Anyway.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, yeah, I think that's just one of those things. I personally don't mind. I personally don't mind it when someone tries to get it down the inside at Luffield. If you leave the gap open there as the preceding car, you're always taking a risk, in my opinion. And the fact that Meros has been able to get down, I mean, we didn't see the whole thing, admittedly, so it's like me trying to tell you about the incident with a blindfold on. I don't know very much about it, but from what it looked like from the end of it, the aftermath, seemed to me that Meros saw a gap, Relix opened it up as the preceding car, and in my opinion, if you're the defending car and you can still make the corner on your own, which I'm presuming Maris could, then there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with filling a gap that is left there in front of you. I'm not saying that Ayrton Senna phrase should be taken quite so literally, as some people seem to think, but I am saying that people are entitled to have a go at the driver in front, and sometimes that is not quite so apparent to people.
Yeah, and that's one of those things with the real life F1 now. It's everyone, the way the rules are written and the way the drivers expect, they expect it to be very timid, very dainty racing. And that's the thing is, you have to chuck a car up the inside. You have to make a move. You have to try something. You can't sit and just wait for a clear opportunity to pass, because then the opportunity never comes. You need to find the gap, and you need to go for it, and you need to just make the pass happen. I'm not saying run every car off the track, but I'm saying you got to do something to make something happen every once in a while. And we've seen that time and time again in this league where drivers see the gap and they go for it. And it's something that, a lot of the drivers are good at, and they keep it clean and they go through. Every once in a while we have a little bit of a argy-bargy questionable moment, but overall it's a fairly good race. It's fairly good competitive racing. About 15 to 26 here. We're getting ready to start the countdown with 11 to go here, and Graxon we're riding on board with Maggots and Beckett's coming out of Chapel, and you can see that there is half a second between him and Tazo. He's kind of stagnated in that 8th place there, but who hasn't stagnated? Jalajne getting around Kashti, so Jalajne now up into 4th with the teammate in 3rd, 2.5 seconds ahead.
Yeah, and Gavron was very close to John Meister there, so surprised there wasn't a move, in fact, for 2nd position, but now that gap is just going up between 1st and 2nd place. 1.7 between Toflinski and John Meister, and that is the race for the win, of course, because Toflinski has a time penalty for cut tracks earlier on in the race. So very important for John Meister that he just begins to reel that one back in again if he wants to take another race win at the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, you gotta watch track limits around here. It's a very, very, very touchy subject, and it's something that a lot of these drivers tend to catch themselves out on, and it absolutely ruins their day. I'm trying to cycle to the screen here. So 3 seconds to Mateusz, 3 seconds to Maddie, 3 seconds to Graxent, who finally finds his way around Tazo there and gets his way up into P7. Oh, leaving a little bit of room there. Just enough room. Tazo leaves, and Tazo holds on to P8 there. Nothing crazy, but now the Haas is the filling of the Mercedes sandwich. Does Graxent try to help his teammate? Or does Graxent just take off?
Well, I think he's got to try and go, because he's got that penalty to worry about. He can probably catch the guys in front for maybe some more positions too. So at the moment, he needs to make his own way as Gavron goes down the inside of John Meister into Stowe Corner. And what does that mean for this race? Does that mean he's in prime position to take this one over Toflinski? Well, at the moment it does, but they've got to be very wary of that gap, which is getting closer and closer to 3 seconds.
Lots of passes coming out of nowhere there, going down into the Hamilton straight. It was Gavron, John Meister going around and through. It was Matty Kashti finding a pass. Graxent's closed that gap to under 2 seconds now to Kashti, so they're going to continue to keep things moving and keep things going here, but I would like to think with the help of DRS, we'll start seeing positions flip-flop again through the end here. We're officially on that countdown of 10 laps to go here. Gavron in second place, needing to hold off John Meister there in third, doing a fairly decent job, but has just enough pace to keep him behind there as we go. Tazo. Oh, we catch Tazo spinning, and Buchik barely missing him there. I think Tazo was trying to look for a gap on Baron and couldn't find it there, but Tazo now dropping down into 12th place. Just a little too much throttle there into the corner.
Well, yeah, it's difficult to see as we joined at that time quite what the problem was there between those two, but it's a shame for Tazo, really, as he was running in a strong position for a lot of that race, comfortably and consistently inside the top 10. Probably deserved that position too, but he won't get it as John Meister now goes to the outside and goes around the outside at Stowe Corner of Gavron. 9 laps to go at the end of this one, but the gap getting out to 2 seconds now nearly to Maciej Toplinski, who will really start to believe soon that he can maybe win this race.
Yeah, he's got to find another second, and another second in 9 laps is not undoable here. And we see Buchik into the pits here. I'm curious to see why he is into the pits, what the decision-making process may be. Are the tires wearing a bit more than we expected? Is there more to the tire wear than we thought?
Maybe, but I would be very surprised if that's the case. It was Kashti who started on the mediums, wasn't it? So Buchik doesn't need another... he needs a new front wing. That's what this is about. Decided that a new front wing is worth it, but I don't necessarily agree with him, to be honest with you.
So he did make contact with Tazo then, with Tazo going around. That is what I'm presuming is there was contact there, and that is what has sent him through. And there we go, side by side goes Tazo with Debe. And these two, of course, two of the admins here in the league, they are very good friends, and they're going to be very competitive through. They're going to give each other a very hard race. Look at this Debe in 10th place, the last of the points-paying places for the Ferrari, side by side through Copse Quarter. And who comes out ahead? Is there side by side? It's going to be Debe who comes out ahead there on the inside, and to the outside will be Tazo. Tazo will slot in there into 10th place for Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, that was close, but respectful racing between the two of them. Both ended up and stayed on the racetrack, so that's off to them both there for that one, as the Mercedes swap places. Present ahead of Baron, but has a penalty, of course, and will now be tasked with catching the likes of Kashti. Now, are his tyres starting to come into their own? To be honest, it doesn't seem like he's been on hard tyres so far. He's been doing okay.
Debe around. I don't know what happened to Debe there, but he is going to be around. As soon as he was in the points, he's now down into P13. I don't see any front wing damage, but it just depends on what happened there. If something happened with him and Tazo, I don't know. I didn't see it. I just saw him drop down the order. The hard tires of Kashti seem to be in a fairly comfortable spot from what I can tell, just looking at the pace. He doesn't seem to be losing distance to Matty. He doesn't seem to be gaining distance on Graxent, though, which is really what I would think to judge it on. But Graxent still finding pace there in those mediums, and just a handful of laps left to go. We're down to 7 laps to go. Yeah, there we go. I can do the math.
Yes. 7 to go. It stayed at 2 seconds for a while. That's the battle for the race win, of course, between Toflinski and John Meister. Zelazny's been quite quiet today. He's now over 3 seconds behind Toflinski, and so looks to be staying fourth. Not a great day overall for Zelazny, really. Dropped to 6 points behind Toflinski in the championship after the sprint race, and it's going to drop further after this. But John Meister could take the championship lead if he does really well. I don't think that's going to happen, but he's already a bit closer to Toflinski in what's becoming a very interesting title fight.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me to see the title fight this close, this far into the season. Round 10, and we're still sitting right there with not a clear-cut indicator of who could be ahead at the end of this race or at the end of this season, because everything could go just upside down. You never know. Mateusz here continuing to run. Gavron in second, John Meister third, Zelazny fourth, Maddie fifth, Kashti sixth. And other than the gap to Mateusz and Gavron, everybody between Gavron and Kashti is within a second of each other, other than Maddie, who's teetering there. For a second, he's over. For a second, he's under a second. So it's very close between fourth and fifth place there as they continue to battle out. But that is really where that big battle is. And surprisingly, we haven't had a big spread out race. Nobody's really spread things out. John Meister needs to just stay within 3 seconds of Mateusz. That needs to be the goal here. And really what John Meister needs to do is get ahead of the McLaren here at some point and find his way back forward and keep within about 2 seconds if possible, Mateusz.
Well, just as I was saying, Zelazny was dropping off the pace. He's now within DRS range of these two, so maybe it's not over for him just yet. Matti and Kashti are going to find this difficult because they've got penalties and Kashti's got hard tyres on. But for the other three, Gavron, John Meister and Zelazny, it's possible they can be in the conversation for this race win, but the gap seems to just slowly be increasing again. That was a big slide from John Meister. That's no good. And now Zelazny's really going to catch up. The gap increases to about 2.3 seconds for the lead as well. Matis Toflinski is not out of winning this race yet either.
Yeah, Mateusz just needs to keep fingers, toes crossed, keep a consistent pace here, and just let these three battle themselves back. That is all that needs to happen there from the lead Red Bull, who is running away here. You can see him there just off the edge at the end of the main straight. And as we come through the middle of the straight here, but as you said, Zelazny is catching up here, but John Meister, again with the help of DRS, catching up on Gavron. It's a very, very nip and tuck back and forth battle here between these three for who ends up where. And my question is, does Gavron help Zelazny get past John Meister? Do we see any sort of team games here? Or is this a case of every man for himself because the championship battle's involved?
Well, it could be every man for himself because Gavron's not out of this title fight just yet. Let's not forget, he will have gained a couple of points over Toflinski in that last sprint race. So he's only 39 back with a possible, over 200 on the table. So it's very possible that he can still win the title from here. John Meister's now starting to play a few games as he purposely made it clear that he wasn't going to overtake Gavron as Toflinski's out. Toflinski is out of the race. Where has he got off it? I think he spun on the exit of Stoke Corner and he's ended up in the wall. This race will have another safety car. Now, the front three went past the pit lane before the safety car got called. The rest of them have come in and they will put soft tyres on. Now, will the front three catch the safety car, allowing the others to go at full speed or not?
This has turned the race. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Mateusz DNFing out of... Oh my gosh. You couldn't write this if you tried.
Well, I'm afraid to say that his retirement percentage is going up in the history of this championship because he's, well, not only in the last few weeks, but in history because that's 3 times in the last 5 weeks that he's DNF'd, and from the Monaco Grand Prix, he was in the lead there too.
Spins it out of Stoke Corner. What? And it's soft tires to the end, and the top 3 caught the safety car.
Exactly. So the top 3 did catch the safety car. They went past the pit lane. The safety car came out at exactly the wrong moment for them. First of all, it would have meant double stacking McLarens. That's no good anyway. But mainly, They went past the pit lane entirely, which meant they were picked up by the safety car. The rest of them have been able to pit. So now they're right there, right behind them, and they're forced effectively to defend for what will be 3 laps at the end of this race, to try and hang on to a race win.
I would not want to be Gavron right now because this is going to be painful. Maverick, I really feel for Maverick on those hard tires because Maverick is going to sink like a stone to the bottom, but oh, McLaren, oh, John Meister, what has happened? What do you do in this situation as a driver? Do you hope? Do you pray? Do you just... I don't know what to say. And you can see John Meister with a little bit of a fake out there trying to catch Jalajne off guard and doesn't go in the pits. This is detrimental to them for this race.
Well, is it though? Because the first 2 on soft tyres have time penalties, so they're not only going to have to get through, but actually pull a margin as well, which I don't think is possible. That leaves the first real contender at Baron, which is going to be difficult to get through. Baron has got, 6 drivers between himself and Gavron. Now, he might not need to overtake Matty and Casti, but if he doesn't, then he's relying on them making the overtakes. If he does have to make the overtakes, then he's going to have to spend some time doing that. So I actually don't think it's the worst call staying out here. Obviously, they would have preferred to go in, these guys, because they could have, if the safety car came out about 10 seconds earlier, even 5 seconds earlier, they could have all come into the pit lane and retained first place and put soft tyres on. So that would obviously have been ideal. But if you were to choose which situation to go for, whether it's new soft tyres and at the back or on old mediums and at the front, I think they would take this way.
I think I would rather be on the new softs. It's gonna be...
But not for... There's not enough time left, surely. I mean, we're going to be racing for 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. There's not enough time, I don't think.
This is going to be very, very close to the end. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you have your popcorn, make sure you've got your water refilled, or whatever your beverage of choice is. This is going to be a shocking finish, I feel, to the end of this round 10. The championship leader, who is leading the race by a dominating fashion, spins in stow with just 6 laps to go, brings a safety car out. Just as the top 4 are past the pit lane entry, they pick up the safety car. Everybody from 5th place back goes on brand new softs, with the exception of Buchik, who is on 5-lap old softs. Safety car in this lap. Ewan, what happens now? What happens now? Can anything else mix this race up?
Oh yeah, what does happen now? Because we've got the field restacked again. We've got Gavron leading. Does he try and get his teammate to win to help in the championship? Is he fending for himself? Who's going to be championship leader at the end of this one? Is it going to be Zelezny or John Meister? Because it's not going to be Maciej Toflinski anymore. He's out of the race. Is it going to be someone on the soft tyres who wins or not? Let's find out. What an exciting finish this is going to be.
An exciting finish. You can see that Gavron opts to go before Stowe. So as they run down towards the chicane here at the end, going onto the Hamilton straight, down in the club and onto the Hamilton straight, we are back underway. And Gavron wasting no time pulling out a gap here of 0.8 of a second. But you can see Grax and Baron already swapping places early on. Baron is on a mission here to bring him and his teammate forward. What can he do? Matty's already getting past here. Maverick again dropping like a stone. As I said, he's on the hard tires. He's going to be under the pressure, and here we go. There's the other Mercedes around, and that is going to be Baron who gets around the outside. Can Graxon follow through as well? Graxon has to slot it. No, there's a tap there. Graxon gets loose. Graxon's into the wall. Graxon is out. No, he's back going. He's still there, but Graxon losing so many places. That was a big moment, and I'm sure the stewards will have to investigate that this week.
I think it was Graxon who just went into the back of Maverick. To be honest, I don't think he's got too many other people to blame for that one. So Baron and Tazo have made their way through from those who are on soft tyres without penalties. Now, how quickly can these other guys get through here? They're not going to be able to pull 3 seconds in the time remaining. So Matty and Casti can be counted out of a race win, I think, here, unless the 3 medium tyre runners get penalties somehow. But they are still going to give it a go, these guys. Matty out of Chapel now. No DRS yet, and there'll be only DRS, by the way, on this final lap. He'll have to get through quickly, but with everybody getting new energy through that safety car period, it's going to be more difficult. Now he goes to the outside. Will he be afforded the room by Zalesny? Not really. Oh my goodness! Instead, Casti goes down the inside.
Casti up the inside as Maddie looks to the outside. Now Maddie's through, and Maddie is through. Zelazny's there, and Baron loses a front wing end plate. So now we go with just a couple laps to go. Gragson, penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Gragson is out of this race. So Mateusz is out. The defending champion of Gragson is out. We've got Zelazny battling with Baron, and Casti is up into third, fourth. Baron's in fifth, missing a front wing end plate because the Williams sent it through and the Red Bull got around. What happens now?
Oh, well, Zelazny now behind Tazo and Baron, so he is fifth on the road, Zelazny. If we take out Casti and Matty, he can pretty much discount in this race. Take them out, and that's where you get Zelazny. It's all gone on into Brooklands and Luffield, by the way, but it's Casti making up the places now. Down the inside of John Meister into Cop's corner, so he's through into second already. As I repeat, they will not make up the 3 seconds that are required of them here. I don't believe that they will. But they can get to the lead. They can cross the line first. Now it's going to be a real time trial between them as Matty's going to try and get through on John Meister as well.
Kushor picking up a 3-second time penalty, but he is back in P14. It does not affect this battle. John Meister here on the mediums just wants to stay in touch. Maddie wants to go through, and we've seen how aggressive these soft tire runners are going. Baron now has a penalty. Tazo coming around Baron here. Tazo now up into fifth place. So Tazo provisionally is on the podium. DRS is enabled, and final lap is underway here, and it is a very, very close one. Look at the battle here between Gavron and Casti. Casti trying to make a move here around, and as he dives up the inside, the Williams looks very pacey and very aggressive, which is not something I'm used to saying here. Switch back through. Can Casti make the pass? He does here as we head onto the straight, and there we go. Casti in the lead, but again, 3-second time penalty he's got to account for here.
Yeah, he can try, and Baron's got a penalty as well now, so count him out too. So it's really up to Tazo, but he's miles away. He's side by side with Baron even now. Now, the real thing for Zelazny is that these guys have battled so much in front of him that actually Casti and Matty do have the chance to try and pull enough of a margin to get away from him and maybe bump Zelazny down a couple of places on the day. Can John Meister even be leading the championship at the end of the day? Because Zelazny right now is not even picking up that many points in the field. He will overtake Maciej Toflinski, but will he overtake and stay ahead of John Meister, who's got one chance here to overtake Gavron and try and win the British Grand Prix?
And here we go. This is going to be the final moments of this British Grand Prix here. Season 10, round 10, DRS Open. He's not close enough to get the pass done. John Meister on Gavron. He is within a couple tenths. Does he think of a final corner dive down? He's going to look at it. Zelazny in the background getting up into sixth place there around Baron, but he can't do it there. And on the track, Casti will take the win. But with penalties applied, it is Gavron to John Meister to Casti to Tazo to Maddie to Zelazny finding sixth place. Baron in seventh, Myros in eighth, Velix in ninth, and last but not least, it will be Maverick who finds the top 10 there in the Alpine. The hard tire runner who started fourth after that safety car restart finds 10th place. What a storybook.
Yeah, fantastic. Zelazny finishes down in sixth position, so I don't believe we'll even take the championship lead. I think John Meister is going to be the new championship leader after beating both of his rivals in both of the races today. So second place, I think, is enough. He will be 3 points ahead of Toflinski, and Zelazny will only be 2 ahead of Toflinski because the battles in front of him cost him a couple of points there, and effectively has cost Zelazny a championship lead, but by only 1 point. What a remarkable situation we have with 8 rounds to go.
8 rounds to go. You can see the celebrations on the podium. A Williams up on the podium. I would love to see that in real life, but thankfully we do have PPR to help make that happen here. Next round is Hungary.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different race to this one, I think, in terms of overtaking, especially in terms of driving. That is going to be a very, very different race indeed, but what a fantastic finale to this race. We've seen so much drama at the end, and Gavron playing himself into this championship too. It shouldn't be forgotten about. He will only be 14 points behind Toflinski and a few more off of the new championship leader, John Meister. So that leaves us with 4 or 5 drivers within 25 points or so at the end of 10 rounds.
Yeah, 10 rounds down, 8 rounds to go. You do not want to miss any of the next 8 rounds. Hungary coming up, and then Spa-Francorchamps, and then Monza, and then from there it will be Singapore is our next sprint race on the 28th of April, round 14. Suzuka, Austin, Mexico City, and Abu Dhabi to end out this season 10 here in F123 of pole position racing. Gavron winning it there, John Meister P2, and again Kashti on track P1, but finds P3 after penalties are applied. Tazo 4th, Maddie 5th, Jalajne 6th, Baran, Myros, Velix, and Maverick round out your top 10. It was heartbreak for Graxit. It was heartbreak for Mateusz Toflinski. And of course, if you want to get involved, there are positions open on the grid. Go ahead and do exclamation Discord in the Twitch chat, or if you're watching the VOD on YouTube after the fact, go down to the description and click the Discord link and join. We could see you on the track for these final 8 rounds. But Mr. O'Leary, any final thoughts for this race before we sign things off for today?
Oh yeah, just what a fantastic race that we've seen. The British Grand Prix always providing great entertainment, and this one no different in the end. And this makes the remainder of this season completely unmissable now. It's going to be a very, very exciting end to the season.
I cannot wait to see how this championship battle unfolds. I wish I could fast track to the 26th of May, but I cannot. But I can go ahead and send things off and take a week break. Of course, on behalf of Mr. Ewan O'Leary, my name is Brad, and we will see you here on Twitch in 7 days' time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Good night, everyone.